The bombing of MacDonald House by two Indonesian saboteurs might have taken place 48 years ago, but that event long ago casts a shadow that still falls over today's Singapore. This explains the intense reaction of Singapore to Indonesia's recent decision to name a Navy ship after the two men executed for the bombing incident. Those old enough remember the shock of the event when a pair of Indonesian Marines bombed the Orchard Road building on March 10, 1965. At 3:07 p.m., a bomb went off at the 10-story building. The explosion ripped off one lift door and shattered windows right up to the 9th floor. The wall separating the staircase and the adjoining room of the Hongkong and Shanghai Bank housed in the building was completely demolished, exposing a view of the car park on the other side of Orchard Road. After the blast, office worker Lim Chin Hin, 45, wiped the blood off his face, picked up his spectacles which had been knocked off, and groped his way out of the room filled with twisted steel. 33 people were injured. 3 people died. The bodies of Elizabeth Suzie Choo, 36, private secretary to the Hongkong and Shanghai Bank manager, and Juliet Goh, 23, a clerk in the bank, were found buried in the rubble. The third victim, Mohammed Yasin Kesit, 45, a driver, slipped into a coma after the blast, and did not come out of it. Recalling the incident, Barry Desker, dean of the Rajaratnam School of International Studies, said, "At that time, MacDonald House was an iconic building as it was the tallest in Orchard Road. The other buildings were single or double-story buildings and the land in Ngee Ann City was a burial ground." The choice of MacDonald House for the bombing was significant as it was about 1.4 kilometers from the Istana, the official residence of the President of Singapore. Lee Khoon Choy, now 90, was even more directly involved. Singapore had caught and tried the two Indonesian saboteurs, Harun Said, 21, and Osman Mohamed Ali, 23. They were convicted of murder and hanged in 1968. Tempers in Indonesia were raging after Singapore turned down appeals for clemency from President Suharto. Lee, who became ambassador to Indonesia in 1970, used his understanding of Javanese culture to pave the way for smoother ties. The veteran diplomat persuaded then Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew to do two things on an official visit to Indonesia in 1973. One was to wear the Indonesian attire of a batik shirt, a gesture that surprised his hosts. The other was for PM Lee to scatter flowers on the graves of the two dead men. The following year, President Suharto visited Singapore, in a further sign of the strong ties developing between the two countries. "What is needed now," said Lee Khoon Choy, "is for today's leaders and diplomats to make a similar gesture to soothe wounded feelings.